Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. Coming at you with some more Mathmech games, as I have been playing a ton of Mathmech in the Duelist Cup, and in fact I have gotten to Duelist level max with Mathmech here. I just had so much fun playing it. This first game here is going to be a going first game against Labrynth, although you wouldn't really know it by how much they're doing on my turn. Normal summon diameter looks like a really weird way to start, but I can link it off for Parallel Exceed here to get some more bodies while still getting it into my graveyard, for the eventual Super Factorial. I'm going to go ahead and Ash Blossom their Big Welcome, and not using it against the Ariana because I figured Ariana was going to search furniture of some kind to felicitate a Big Welcome anyway, or facilitate rather, if I can say my words correctly here. Gonna go for the Mathmech Subtraction here, but they're gonna use a Dominus Impulse on it, which is actually fine because I still have the Parallel Exceed here. So we're still gonna be able to not only full combo in this kind of situation, but we can also actually just wipe our opponent's whole board. Yeah, this is going to be a rather unique turn one, because by the end of it, our opponent will have no cards on their field as well as in their hand. But we're going to start by going into Almirage, and of course with the 2 level 4 Parallel Exceed, make Almirage, which can search the circular, dumping Sigma. I can also use Almirage to tribute the Almirage to summon Diameter, and then I can summon the Sigma from my graveyard all the same. And it's fine if the Sigma gets banished here, because I still have the, it was either addition or subtraction, I don't remember which one, but that is still in the graveyard. So we'll still have 3 Mathmech names and be all good. From here, I'm going to be doing pretty much a lot of the stuff you would see in a turn 1 combo line from the new Mathmech with the Ignister support. I did very recently make a video about this as well. I'm going to link that in the description below if you are interested in checking out my initial deck primer for Mathmech with the new support, which shows off the new 1-card combo line with Circular. But yeah, definitely don't sleep on this deck. I would still say Mathmech is like an upper rogue deck, but honestly, this new Ignister support did so much for it. I mean, you can full combo into not only your Terahertz, but also Heat Soul for multiple draws, and the Allied Code Talker for an Omni Negate. And you don't even need Splash Mage to be doing it. Yeah, I know, I went to all that trouble saying how much Splash Mage was needed in certain decks, but Mathmech being one of them actually doesn't really require it as much as before. That said, it is still nice for a lot of turn ones where you get disrupted and kind of need it to have enough bodies, like we did here. But yeah, now we can link off into Access Code Talker. Not something you typically see on turn 1 from Mathmech, but with my opponent having nothing in hand and having 3 bodies on board, I decided this was a good time to pull out the Access Code Talker and get rid of all of their bodies. Now you might be thinking, well Hex, you only just popped 2 of them, what about the 3rd Coup Clock? We'll deal with that soon enough here. But I do want to make sure that I make my Allied Code Talker at Ignister as well. So in order to do that, I actually need to make G-Golem for a transcode. That way I can do, link 3 plus 2 other materials, just so that the link arrows all add up. Alright, there's Allied Code Talker at Ignister, which now activates in order to revive the Heat Soul. And normally it would revive Transcode, but here we're actually going to revive the Access Code Talker, which can now banish the Cyrus Wicked and pop the last Coup Clock. And there we go. Like I said, turn 1, opponent is left with no cards in hand or field. Draw phase is going to dump D-Save Worm with the Terahertz. Try to draw off Heat Soul, they're going to Dominus Impulse off it, because the Heat Soul can't actually summon off its effect. Got a D-Save Worm to negate, they chain Arias, we can chain the Allied Code Talker in order to negate and to banish Arias, and now my opponent is truly left with nothing at all. Funny thing is, if I had simply not activated any of my effects here, they would have just been forced to pass anyway, but at the same time, it's always worth it to get the extra draw, and of course, getting D-Save Worm into the graveyard with the Terahertz, especially against Labrynth. But yeah, that is going to be our first duel here. Now for this next one we're going to go straight into here, I believe this should be a going second game against Maliss. Looks like that is what this is, yep. Of course, I'll have little infographics in the finished video here showing all that. Normal summon White Rabbit setting the MTP, and I'm going to wait for them to activate MTP, add the March here, and then when they go to Special White Rabbit, I'll use the Max C here. I like forcing players to commit to their lines before throwing out the Max C. One of the main reasons I think it's better to do it than just shotgunning at draw phase. Yeah, they're going to follow up with a Maliss and Underground Banishing Chesty Cat. Looks like they want to give me one more draw in order to get a couple of draws on their end. Going to throw out VODS here because I felt like my opponent was about to go for the Heart Scripter. And if they are going to do that, I want to make sure I'm getting 2 draws off of it. But they're just going to draw 2 off Chesty Cat and then set 1 and then pass. They might have done that under Max C anyway, but it's like there was no reason not to VODS there, so. Alright, with this hand I'm going to go normal summon Firewall Defensor because everything else in my hand that's a Cyberse monster can special summon itself. Going into the Lingaribo, which is going to protect me from the back row, and my opponent's got a Max C of their own. Without a way to search the Ash Blossom here, I am going to say challenge accepted, and we're going to play into their Max C, going for the OTK. Yeah, that's something I did in actually a lot of my games, was using Small World to search the Ash Blossom, which is great because I then had multiple opponents who would try to use Max C, and, well, they weren't able to. So, although it sounds weird and counterintuitive, I think it's actually generally correct to chain Max C to Small World, just because you never know if they're going to search the Ash Blossom. I mean, like I said, I did it a ton here and countered a lot of Ash Blossoms doing that. Now here they're going to impulse, I'm going to go for my Lingaribo, and their face down was actually called by the grave, not a trap card, which means that my Transcode Talker will end up being both negated and destroyed. However, I'm not really too concerned with that, because I not only have plenty of extenders in hand, but even with what I have on board, I can still overlay into Almotion, grab Circular, and just keep comboing. That is definitely Mathmech's greatest strength by far, is it is so perseverant when it comes to just pushing through hand traps and negates. Actually plays very well going second. You might think that Mathmech being such a linear combo deck would not play very well going second. Couldn't be further from the truth, however, as the deck just has so many extenders. And you know what's funny? Addition and subtraction, I actually have considered cutting them for more copies of Diameter, because I'm only playing the one. But I think having an extender that can special itself from hand is more important than having another thing that you'd want to commit a normal summon to. Alright, now here we get to go for the secret Terahertz OTK that not a lot of people actually know about. But if you make Terahertz underneath the G-Golem Crystal Heart and then turn it into Earth attribute by either sending Dotscaper or Link Spider, that Terahertz can attack multiple times, and it has Piercing as well, which is how I'm able to OTK over the defense mode Chesty Cat here. I can't help but wonder if my opponent had to go back to replay and see, wait, how did I lose there? You know. G-Golem Crystal Heart also gives 2 attacks, period, unlike Terahertz, which only gives multiple attacks against monsters. So with G-Golem Terahertz, you can battle over something and then still attack again directly, which Terahertz, per its own effect, can only battle multiple monsters. So that's another handy thing to remember. Hey, I was just talking about using Small World to add Ash Blossom. Here's a great example of a hand where you would love to do that, because we have the ability to combo with the Circular, and we even have the Parallel Exceed as an extender. Now here my opponent's going to not only use the Bahamut against the Sigma, but also imperm the Circular. That does seem like it's going to be a bit of an issue. I mean, as far as like comboing fully with the Super Factorial, but I can actually still full combo, including Search Super Factorial here, and I'll show you how. I'm going to make Alumversion. You might think, well, yeah, you just searched the Super Factorial off the Alumversion here. But that would only leave me with one Mathmech name in the graveyard. Even with the Terahertz dump, I would need to use both of them in order to fully set it up. So I'm actually going to grab Diameter instead, and we're just going to use the Circular effect later in the turn. You do have to kind of, or at least I did here, kind of have to go out of my way to set this up, mainly just leaving the Alumversion up so that way I can use it to revive Circular, and then later I'm going to use Splash Mage to revive the Diameter, and that'll trigger Circular, and that's how I'm going to search Super Factorial. That's why it's important to, more often than not, if you've got a card like Imperm or Valor that negates, wait for them to actually activate the effect, because you never know, they might be able to play around it like I am here and get the effect off anyway. Yeah, thank God for backup out of Nister. Such a good card. Such a good card. Alright, now here we're able to make the Terahertz. Terahertz is still going to have to dump a Mathmech name, but only the one. We're still going to be able to dump the D-Save Worm during the opponent's draw phase. Alright, yep, here is Albertian sacrificing itself to bring back Circular. Now I'm taking my 2 Ignister monsters and linking them into Splash Mage. Splash Mage, reviving the Diameter. Now Circular F can add the Super Factorial. Beautiful. Of course, from here we're still going to keep comboing out, making the Heat Soul. And I wanted to Heat Soul draw before dumping off of Terahertz, just in case I drew the addition/subtraction and wouldn't have to dump it, but no such luck. It's not that big of a deal anyway, because it's not like I play Aggregator/Packbit in the extra deck. I only play D-Save Worm as like things to dump with Terahertz, because most of the time you need to dump either Dotscaper or Diameter with Terahertz, so... But yeah, look at that. There we go. Fully set up Super Factorial with the full end combo there, despite getting hit with both Magnum Hut and Imperm. God, I love it. I love Mathmech so much. It's such a good deck. So good. Alright, there goes the D-Save Worm, drawing Nibiru off of the Heat Soul. Opponent's going to throw out Signet Mining. I thought at first they might also be on Mathmech because of Signet, but it's just a Ignister, not Ignister. It's a Maliss deck. It's a Maliss deck that's actually using Signet Mining, which could be a budget option if they don't have Gold Sark, because Signet Mining is available in the Salamangreat structure deck, even though it's a UR, it's a lot more accessible. So I'm going to assume that they're using Signet Mining as a substitute for Gold Sark. But yeah, before they do any more plays, we're going to flip up Super Factorial now that we have the board space. Make the Laplation, get rid of the onboard Magnum Hut, as well as snipe a card from hand, and even if the last card in hand is plays, we have the Laplation Omni Negate. And of course, if things really, really go south, we could always just throw a nib at them. But nope, that'll be enough to finish them off. Alright, last duel for this video is going to be a game against Tenpai. So I did lose this coin flip, but of course my opponent elected to take the first turn, or the second turn rather. Very glad for that with a hand like this. Once again, I'm going to use Small World to find Ash Blossom here, just in case they have something, because we have our starter as well as extenders. And the other kind of cool thing is, if you actually have a hand where you open, like, let's say you open Circular and Ash Blossom, or even like Firewall Defensor and Ash Blossom, and you still have a Small World, what you can do is you can wait until, you know, the end of your combo, and if you still never use Splash Mage, if you still never use Small World, then you can use it to search Lancia, of course, you know, if you're operating under the assumption your opponent's on Maliss, which is more fair than any other deck. But yeah, I would only do that if I opened a starter plus Ash Blossom. I think searching Ash Blossom to counter Maxi is still more important on turn 1, but that's one of the reasons why I only play 2 Lancias. The main reason I only play 2 Lancia is because I only have space for 2. I'm already at 42 cards, and I don't know. I could cut an Imperm for it, but then I'd only be playing 1 Imperm, and I don't know. Of course, the deck list will be shown off at the end of the video here, but I haven't changed it at all from my initial deck primer this month either, so it is still the same build in that regard. Yeah, this is actually one of those hands where you saw we dumped the Firewall Guardian there. We're gonna, like, actually have more bodies than we know what to do with here. It's very much the definition of a first world problem. Like, I'm pretty sure I just don't activate Firewall Guardian's effect to special summon itself back to the field in this case. Because, like, you don't want too many monsters on the board, otherwise it becomes just straight up impossible to use Super Factorial. Here I'm going to add Lingribo to my end board, which is a little risky, but of course... Okay, sorry about that. My Audacity cut out for a second there. That was weird. But as I was saying, making Lingribo is a little bit risky because your opponent might not use a trap card effect, so it might be stuck on your board, which means you might not be able to use Super Factorial. So even though it looks like just an improvement to the regular end board, I would hesitate sometimes before adding Lingribo to the end board. I kind of don't think I should have done it here, but it's up to you, right? It's a risk. It might be worth taking if you think that you're like up against Maliss or some other deck that's going to activate a trap card on their turn 1. I was a little surprised by my opponent's droplet here. They only tried to droplet for 1 and they sacrificed a spell card to do it. meaning I could just chain the D-save for him. I figured it might be bait for another spell or trap card, and sure enough it was for the Lightning Storm. Although to be fair, if I let the droplet resolve, they could have just negated Allied Code Talker anyway, and I wouldn't have been able to, you know, negate the Lightning Storm all the same. But Burning Draw, absolutely going to hit that with the Ash Blossom. And I think they actually have another Lightning Storm to follow up with here. Yep, sure enough. Yeah, here once I figured out that it's Tenpai, it became all about kind of trying to protect the Terahertz. Although at this stage, I figured, okay, we can maxi against the Genroku. Let's see what they summon. And even if it's Pydra for the Sangen summoning, I can flip up Super Factorial. But it was Shundra, so I'm still going to flip up Super Factorial here, reviving my 3 Math Mech monsters. And then, of course, going into Laplation, I can take the last card out of their hand, as well as sending the Shundra. And even if they somehow have a graveyard effect, I of course have the Diameter Omni Negate here as well. So last card in hand was Pydra, there goes the Shundra, and they're forced to just pass back over to me. If they had anything left in hand, they would lose it to Into the Void here, but... yeah, here I want to normal summon Circular because I don't want to lock myself into only being able to attack with one monster. Because Terahertz is in the graveyard, I can't go for the G-Golem plus Terahertz OTK. And that, without playing Multiplication or Update Jammer, is the only way you can OTK under Circular's restrictions. So that is important to keep in mind, but it's also, like, I don't know, if you went first, it's really not hard to OTK without the Circular restriction. As you're seeing here, G-Golem plus Transcode plus just about anything else is enough to do it. But alright, that is the last duel here. Here is the deck list as mentioned before. I have not changed it since the last deck primer. I've been loving this Math Mech build. Like I mentioned in the last one, you can optionally run the Firewall Synchro Monster as well as Eye Connect to the spell card. That will let you go back up Adagnister into full Math Mech combo. But also, like I mentioned in my initial deck primer, I just like Small World more. Searching Ash Blossom is very important. It's just a lot more flexible in that regard, so I like it better. Plus, I'm already at 42 cards in the main deck, don't really have much more room there. And in the extra deck, I really don't have room for the Firewall Synchro. The only thing I could really see myself cutting is Link Spider, but Link Spider is way too important for playing into Nibiru, so... yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this one. So hopefully you enjoyed these additional Math Mech games. I had a ton of fun playing them. I love this deck. It stayed one of my favorites, even now in this quote-unquote Tier 0 Maliss format, which I think most people agree it's not quite Tier 0, but even in a format where Maliss is so prevalent, you know, I think that rogue decks like Math Mech can still enjoy a lot of success. Or at the very least, I'm enjoying not only a lot of success, but just enjoying myself, period, playing this fun rogue deck. So that's all I got for you. Thanks as always for watching. Super appreciate ya. Let's go ahead now and move on to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.